2013's Frozen is one of Disney's most popular and critically acclaimed animated movies to date. Considering the company has been putting out animated features since 1928, that's a pretty big achievement. Featuring some terrific music and inspiring themes of self-discovery, redemption, and family, it's no wonder this movie made over $1 billion. However, there's one weird thing in the movie that's bothered us, and we still can't let it go. Towards the end of the film, we're made to think that Elsa gains a new mastery of her powers and thaws out her frozen sister Anna. Although it seems a lot more likely that she uses her lesser-known powers to instead bring her frozen sister to life. In this video, we'll go behind the screen to prove that Anna is now a living ice sculpture by analyzing Elsa's ice powers, rebuking the arguments against this theory, and theorizing how her icy status might fit into Frozen 2. Elsa's ice powers in Frozen are pretty vaguely defined. While it seems like we'll learn more about the origins and limits of her powers in Frozen 2, right now we just have her displays of power in the first film to go off of. Thankfully, the movie revels in Elsa using her powers in fun and creative ways. The way Elsa normally uses her powers basically makes her Iceman from the X-Men comics. She can freely create snow and ice and control both substances with incredible precision. She can make an entire palace out of ice and snow and is even able to make her powers to create an iconic dress. Come to think of it, Disney actually owns the X-Men movie rights right now, so Iceman and Elsa could totally appear in a movie together. That'd be the coolest crossover ever. An underappreciated ability of Elsa's, though, is that she can create life, or at least movement and sentience, to the things she makes with her ice powers. For instance, she accidentally grants life to Olaf the snowman and Marshmallow, the giant ice monster she makes to guard her frozen palace. She can even give the things she brings to life specific personalities depending on what they mean to her. Olaf is more cheery and playful because he's tied to Elsa's memories of her and Anna playing in the snow, where Marshmallow is more aggressive and intimidating as he represents Elsa's desire to be left alone. Basically, she has rose quartz powers from Steven Universe, and she can grant life to inanimate objects and potentially deceased people. Disney doesn't own Steven Universe though, so unfortunately it'll be a while before that monumental crossover can happen. So what does Elsa's godlike ability to create life have to do with Anna being an ice statue? Well, during the climax for Frozen, Anna is transformed into an ice statue while protecting her sister from the villainous Prince Hans. From the way his sword breaks against the new frozen Anna, we can also tell that she's made entirely of solid ice, rather than an icy shell that would have shattered under the force of Hans's blade. Devastated by Anna's sacrifice, Elsa embraces the frozen Anna and she miraculously returns to life. It's suggested that Anna's expression of love gave Elsa the perspective to fully control her powers, which allowed her to thaw out her sister. While her sister's love did help Elsa grow emotionally and master her powers, she didn't bring her sister back to life the way most people think. Instead of unfreezing her, Elsa used her ability to grant life to ice and snow in order to animate the Anna statue. So she didn't really heal Anna, instead she created a new Anna out of the ice statue that used to be her sister, which is pretty dark for a Disney movie. Like that's way more messed up than the incinerator scene in Toy Story 3 or Bambi's mom passing away. There's a lot of evidence supporting the fact that Anna is now a living ice sculpture though. For one thing, Anna comes back to life the way Elsa imagines her, rather than thawing out to match how she looked previously. Before she was frozen, Anna was pretty beaten up and suffering greatly from the cold created by Elsa's powers. Her being a living ice sculpture might also explain why the usually hyperactive Anna seems a bit more sluggish in her later appearances. For instance, Anna is seen sleeping in later than Elsa in the Frozen Fever short film, where in the original Frozen movie she's usually shown energetically starting her day. Now, there are plenty of arguments pushing back against the theory that Anna is now a living ice sculpture. After all, this theory isn't overtly mentioned within the movie, and pretty unlike the other events in the film. That being said, all the arguments against this theory are pretty easily disproven by the events of the movie and ancillary Frozen media. The first pushback to this theory argues that Elsa can only intentionally grant life to ice and snow sculptures, that she would knowingly have to grant life to the ice sculpture Anna, and that she would realize that the living statue was not her sister. While there is a bit of merit to this counter-argument, the fact of the matter is that Elsa has accidentally created a lot of living things, which is actually kind of terrifying when you think about it, but it does support our theory. While Elsa seems to need strong feelings to give something life with a specific personality such as Olaf and Marshmallow, she can also create living things completely by accident. In the Frozen Fever short film, Elsa catches a cold and creates tiny snowmen called snowgies every time she sneezes. She also gave life to Olaf unintentionally, although it's safe to say that her memories associated with the snowman are the reason for his unique personality. With this in mind, it's completely believable that Elsa transformed the frozen Anna into a living ice sculpture during her moment of grief. She could have also accidentally brought the sculpture to life, and because she's so familiar with who Anna is as a person, simply giving the living statue her sister personality and memories. Even if the theory that Anna is now a living statue is a little bit out there, there's nothing in the Frozen universe that says that Elsa couldn't make herself another Anna out of ice. Although many would point out that the ice creatures in Frozen are unable to survive in warmer temperatures. After all, when Elsa removed the snow in her kingdom of Arendelle, Olaf quickly began to melt. Only by creating a small flurry cloud above him is the lovable snowman able to explore the kingdom outside of the winter months. Ice creatures perishing in warmer temperatures also isn't totally true, or at least this particular rule for the creatures falls into a bit of a gray area. While Olaf does need the flurry cloud to survive in warmer temperatures, the snowgies could move freely in a warmer climate for some time. This seems to imply that not all of Elsa's creations are as susceptible to warmer temperatures as Olaf, or at least that as her mastery of her powers grows, so does her creation's resistance to heat. Furthermore, it's also totally possible that ice sculpture Anna has a higher resistance to heat than the snowman Olaf because of the material they're made of. Since snow is much less dense than ice, it melts more quickly when exposed to heat. This would explain why the snowman Olaf quickly melts in temperatures that don't seem to affect icy Anna. The volume of an amount of ice and snow will also affect how quickly it melts, and since Olaf has a rather diminutive stature, it would make sense for him to melt more quickly in places where Anna is unaffected. Considering all of this, the argument that an ice sculpture Anna would melt doesn't hold water. The final pushback for those who disagree with this theory argue that Anna wouldn't look like a regular person if the frozen statue of her was brought to life. They believe that a living Anna sculpture would still be blue and transparent. This also doesn't fit with the depictions of Elsa's powers we've seen in the Frozen Fever short. Here, Elsa is able to create colorful dresses for herself and Anna that fit the warmer setting. So we know that she can change the color of the snow and ice she creates to match what she imagines something is supposed to look like. The only reason Olaf and Marshmallow are mostly white is because she imagined them as snow creatures and gave them the appropriate colors. So it's totally in line with Elsa's abilities for her to bring an ice sculpture of Anna to life and have her appearance and clothing perfectly match her idea of what her sister looks like. Beyond the fact that it's totally possible for Elsa to bring the ice sculpture of her sister to life, this theory should be true because it would create a great possible storyline in Frozen 2. The original Frozen movie wrapped itself up in a pretty tidy bow. Elsa gained the confidence and self-esteem necessary to rule Arendelle as well as control her powers. Similarly, Anna gained the kind of relationship she wanted with her sister and found a more supportive romantic partner in Kristoff. Right now, it seems like Frozen 2 will explore Elsa's mysterious powers, but we don't know how Anna's is going to fit into the plot of the movie. Even if Anna is sure to help her sister uncover the mystery of her powers, it'd be a little disappointing if Anna was reduced to more of a supporting character in the sequel. She needs her own unique storyline and challenges to overcome in the next Frozen film for it to live up to the original. That's where Anna being an ice sculpture could help improve this upcoming film. Frozen never really spent much time examining Anna's identity. The younger princess realized that she was wrong to think she was in love so quickly, and that her desire to be with someone mostly stemmed from the loneliness she felt due to her parents' passing and her strained relationship with Elsa. The movie never really digs into Anna figuring out her place in the world or what she thinks of herself, though. Discovering that she's a living ice sculpture created by Elsa's magic would force her to re-examine herself and her relationship with those close to her. It would also generate some fantastic personal drama and add variety to a movie that seems like it will largely be about the lore and history of the world Frozen takes place in. It seems not only plausible but beneficial for Anna to be a living ice sculpture. Sure, she could have just been revived at the end of the original Frozen, but Elsa certainly had the power to bring the solid ice Anna to life as well. There also really isn't any evidence to dispute this theory, and if it's true, this should make the upcoming Frozen 2 a much better experience overall. Even if it is a little bit out there, it really does seem like Anna is now one of Elsa's many ice creations. Seeing the two sisters deal with this development and exploring their charming and magical world is sure to be a treat that's just as enjoyable as the first film. Although we won't know any of this for certain until Frozen 2's November 22nd release date. If you weren't excited for this film already, seeing if this theory is confirmed or not should be the icing on the cake. What are your Frozen 2 theories? Will Anna play a different role in the story, or will Elsa finally get revenge on the ocean that stole her parents from her? Let us know in the comments section down below and we'll be sure to check them out. While you're down there, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Behind the Screen. Doing so really helps out the channel and allows us to create even more terrific theory videos for you to enjoy. Speaking of videos, be sure to check out our backlog of videos. We have tons of theories on various Disney movies and series, as well as other deep dives into Frozen lore. Also, be sure to click the bell icon. That way you'll get a notification as soon as we upload another video. If you're quick, you'll be able to watch our hottest theories and breakdowns before anyone else has the chance to.